Hey, what's up everybody, Chad here, and today we're starting the greatest story ever told in Marvel Comics. So the way this story starts is, it starts at the very beginning of the universe, right? There's nothing, followed by everything, swirling, burning specks of creation that circled life-giving suns, and then we race to the light. So after that we get this what's to come section, right? And what it says is, it was the spark that started the fire, a legend that grew in the telling. Some believe it began the moment Hyperion was rescued from a dying universe. Others said it was when the guard were broken on the dead moon. Many more think it was ex nihilo when he terraformed Mars, turning the planet red to green. They were all wrong, as it happened before the light, before the war, and before the fall. It started with two men. It started with an idea. And it starts up with Tony Stark basically meeting Captain America as he's waking up from a dream, right? And he's been saying that he's been having these nightmares. And we see in this nightmare is Reed Richards, you got Namor the Submariner, Black Bolt, and you got Black Panther. And we know those people are essentially the Illuminati. Some people are missing out of here. Tony Stark, because he's actually talking to Tony Stark. Doctor Strange, Professor X. Professor X died in Avengers vs. X-Men, which is like right before this story started. So that's why he's not going to be up in there. He's not going to be in this story at all. And when they start talking, they're basically conversing about this idea that they had a while back. You know, basically talking about how they want to expand the Avengers team, make them bigger. So we skip ahead about a month on Mars, and this is from the what's to come section, basically talking about how ex nihilo, which is just the golden guy right here, he was going to terraform Mars. That's essentially where we're at right now. They're on Mars, and what they're talking about is basically shooting these origin bombs at the planet Earth, essentially trying to evolve all of the life on Earth. So what ex nihilo is telling Aleph, which is the robot, he's trying to show them what he's trying to get to, like the actual end goal, what he's trying to get to. So he's creating an actual perfected quote unquote human. While he's doing that, Abyss, she's actually looking at she's essentially looking at the space waves, right? And what she realizes is the Avengers are coming. Like, we have Captain America, Hulk, Thor, all these guys, they're on their way to Mars right now. They beelined it as soon as these origin bombs started like hitting the planet, right? So when they get there, they all get into this huge scuffle with the gardeners, right? These three people, Abyss, ex nihilo, and Aleph, are gardeners. They're getting into this scuffle, and essentially they're losing, right? Like, it's okay, but at some point Abyss gets into the mind of Hulk, and what she's telling Hulk is, you're the strongest one there is, right? Everyone out here knows that you're the strongest person here, right? Like, you know it, they know it, there's no disputing that. But there is one person here who thinks he is stronger than you are, Thor. So Hulk, being like the actual savage form that he's in, he goes right after Thor, not knowing that it's actual manipulation that he's a victim of at this point, right? So with that happening, Captain America's like the last one standing. Everyone else is down, and he's essentially in front of Aleph by himself. He has to take on Aleph, and Aleph just pummels him, right? Like, he literally just pummels Captain America until he can't take it anymore. He just gets knocked out. So they're sending Captain America's body back to Earth, right? Like, all of the Avengers have been taken over. They've all been captured. They're gonna send Captain America back with a message. There's no way y'all are gonna beat me here. Like we've already, these brave heroes that y'all sent, like the most capable, strongest heroes that y'all have, we took those guys out. So what's coming is coming. There's no staving it off. There's no stopping it. Like, just let it happen how it happens, right? So with that happening, Captain America, he goes. He heals up, he rests as much as he can. He dons his uniform back on, and he gathers all of the Avengers. When they were talking about expanding the Avengers, he grabs all of those guys, right? You got Hyperion, Smasher, Captain Universe, Falcon, Spider-Man. Like, there's like he grabbed every single one he could, right? So while they're essentially getting ready to go back to Mars, what's happening on Mars is they're essentially scanning Thor, right? Because they had noticed something is, it's something different about this guy, right? Like, he's not like the rest of the guys here. He's a god, okay? Like, he's not a normal human. He's from Asgard, right? So ex nihilo, he takes it upon himself to essentially start asking Thor these questions, right? And when he's asking him is, what do you know of creation? What do you know of destruction? When the universe dies, what do you know about all that? Like, is there resurrection? Like, tell me, like, talk to me, Thor. What do you know? So with that, when him asking Thor all these questions, he essentially goes over the beginning of the universe, right? What he says is, at the dawn of everything were the builders. They were the first race, the oldest living things in the cosmos. They were the perfect people, and for a great while they worshipped the goddess, the mother maker herself, the universe. And we're gonna figure out what that is later. So eventually they grew beyond this, abandoning the old ways of reverence for the new path of relevance. As expansion and evolution occurred, the builders created aggressive systems to direct, shape, and control the very structure of space and time. The first of these systems were gardeners, Aleph sent out into the wild to purge species unfit and unsuitable for the new universe. For hundreds of millions of years, our Aleph raised world after all which he deemed unfit for progress, until one day he encountered a species he considered worthy of preservation, which is essentially his first world that he's not going to destroy. He's actually going to help evolve this, right? And what he does is he has these two eggs. He has a white egg and a black egg, and what comes out of the white egg when it hatches is ex nihilo. Out of the black egg came abyss. So this is essentially their origin, like where they came from. They came from Aleph, right? Like he was a gardener, and he essentially birthed them when there was life that was actually worth, you know, maintaining. We skip back to when Tony Stark and Captain America were essentially rebuilding the Avengers team, like when they were going to try to expand it and all that stuff, and they're going over all the people that they're trying to get, right? Like they're going over Smasher, Captain Universe, Hyperion. We're gonna get like actual origin stories for all three of these guys, like after whenever we get to that point. But as for right now, they're just, you know, three people who are on the team. They go to Wolverine, right? And, you know, they're bringing him beer, trying to, you know, bribe him into becoming an Avenger, right? They go to Spider-Man, you know, they give him money and bribing him into becoming an Avenger. They go to Sam Wilson, they bring him Birdseed, you know, bribing him to become bribing him to become an Avenger. Shang-Chi, they grab all these different people, right? They have Robert DaCosta, Sam Guthrie's, there's all these different people, right? They go to Manifold, Eden, Captain Marvel, they go to Spider-Woman. There's all these different people, right? They're going out, they're grabbing everyone they can, big hitters, not as big hitters, anyone who they can, right? Like all the bravest people that they know, who they know would be interested, right? Like Luke Cage, he wasn't interested, so he's not really joining. We skip back to today, where they're sending the origin bombs from Mars, and what they're saying is these things are landing everywhere, right? Like it's not just one place that they're targeting. They're targeting the entire planet. It stretches from like Japan to India to the Savage Land, Norway. There's all these different places. So with those origin bombs hitting, all of the Avengers and Captain America, they're preparing to go. They're going back to Mars to try and stop this threat. So they all gather together, they grab Manifold, and they teleport. Back on Mars, Ex Nihilo, he's actually, you know, marveling in the creation of this quote-unquote perfect human that he created, right? Like he actually comes out of his egg, and he's essentially speaking this language, which is called Builder Machine Code. And what that is like the language that the builders were using in the early days of, you know, creation, right? So while he's marveling at that, the Avengers show up, and Hyperion just blasts this guy, right? So with the Avengers showing up, everyone's like there's just this huge battle to try and, you know, take the Gardeners out, right? Like everyone's trying to break out the old Avengers who are already captured. Thor, Hyperion, all the heavy hitters, they're going after these Gardeners. They're trying to take these guys down because they're not weak. These are some powerful individuals. Ex Nihilo, Abyss, and Aleph, they're pretty powerful, right? So Thor, he starts calling down the thunder, and eventually Captain Universe wakes up. And what Captain Universe is essentially I wouldn't say essence of the universe. It's more like this. It's more like a defense system. Essentially, is what it is, right? Like it's like a defense system for the entire universe itself. Whenever something is life threat or universe threatening, Captain Universe shows up, right? So when Captain Universe shows up, everything gets shut down, right? Like all three of these Gardeners, they just kneel. So what they're saying is that Captain Universe is the entity that the builders were worshiping to in their early days, back when they were in their religious phase. But Aleph, as a robot, he still goes to try and attack her, and when he does that, she just disintegrates him, literally just disperses this dude across the world. So after she disintegrates Aleph, she's talking to the Gardeners, and she's essentially telling the Gardeners they can't do what they're doing here, right? Like you have to send Adam, which is the human that Ex Nihilo created. You have to send Adam to Earth. You can't, you know, go shooting your origin bombs at Earth. Like I'm here to protect that planet. You know, leave that planet alone, right? If you want to do something, terraform Mars, right? Because Ex Nihilo is asking, like, you know, if I can't mess with Earth, what do I do? What do I do now? Like we're supposed to be. That was our job. So if that ain't what we do, what do we do, right? So she tells him to terraform Mars, and all the Avengers, they split, right? And when Captain America's leaving, Ex Nihilo actually he has a good question for him, right? And what he's saying is, I have remade thousands of worlds and seen the destruction of far, far more, and yet it is your planet she has chosen to call home. What is it that makes your Earth so special? And what Captain America says is, it's an Avengers world, right? And it was the first. It was the spark that started the fire, a legend that grew in the telling. The great idea was expansion, and it started with two men. One was life and one was death. Keep that in your head because that's going to come back a lot, right? So our next video, we're actually going to go over the origins of Smasher, Captain Universe, and Hyperion. We're going to figure out where these guys come from, right? Because Smasher has a pretty interesting origin. Hyperion, his is interesting too, but this isn't the actual, the original iteration of this guy. He's not a new character here. Smasher, she is. Hyperion, he was actually a very, very old character. They're just giving him like a new version for this story, right? But it's pretty good, honestly. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I will see y'all in the next one.